Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you all for attending the Smart Tech2Tech webinar, Troubleshooting Tips and Getting Help from Smart Technologies. My name is Ryan Paragus, and I'll be your moderator for today. Before we begin, there's a few housekeeping items that I'd like to cover with you. First, all attendee microphones are muted. So if you'd like to ask any questions, you can either use the Q&A button or the chat window in your Zoom meeting client. Those questions may be answered during the flow of the presentation, or they may be held and answered at the end during our Q&A period. That said, we do have a lot of content to cover today, so if we're unable to answer all of the questions, we will make sure to follow up with those individuals after the webinar. And lastly, this Tech2Tech webinar will be made available on our Smart Support YouTube channel, which also contains previous webinars that we've hosted. So you can expect to see it there within the next 2 weeks. So with that said, I'll hand it over to James Lane, your presenter for today.
Thank you, Ryan. Welcome, everyone. I am James Lane. I am your presenter today. You just heard from Ryan Paragus, today's moderator. So today we're going to cover 4 main areas. First, what is troubleshooting? Second, useful resources that are available to you when troubleshooting. Third, getting efficient and effective assistance. And fourth, we'll go over a bit of the importance of specific detailed information. So starting off, what is troubleshooting? Troubleshooting is an iterative process of collecting information about a trouble symptom and then applying logic and analysis to identify the cause and determine a resolution. Troubleshooting requires critical thinking, the analysis of facts to form a judgment based on presented evidence. Good troubleshooting processes are a way of thinking. They are not a list of steps to follow. Now, when you are troubleshooting, sometimes you do follow a list of steps in order to activate a procedure or a process, but that is not troubleshooting as a whole. Troubleshooting as a whole is a way of thinking, a way that you approach a problem. And there are many different troubleshooting methodologies in existence today in many industries, including half splitting, Ishikawa fishbones, 5-step processes, and many more. I'm not going to go into the details of the different troubleshooting methodologies that exist because there's a lot of resources available online about those. My favorite is half splitting, which is basically dividing the problem in half each time. Some people refer to this as isolation as well. And that will come into play as we discuss further in this presentation. Now, poor troubleshooting is unfortunately pretty common, and it includes randomly replacing things until the problem goes away, jumping to conclusions without any reason and verification, blaming others without valid evidence, and randomly restarting the PC or smartboard interactive display. Now, all of those things, replacing items, coming to conclusions, blaming others, or restarting a PC or a smartboard display, do have their place in good troubleshooting, but poor troubleshooting does those things without valid evidence, reason, and verification. And these are poor troubleshooting methods because when things are done randomly or you jump to conclusions, they only mask the problem. They don't typically identify the cause or solve it. And they often lose important clues or information. For example, today's modern smartboard interactive displays do capture logs on the display. Those logs only exist from power on to power off. If you restart the smartboard display, those logs are erased. So if during the troubleshooting process those logs are needed, they're gone if you've restarted the display. And guessing rarely leads to successful results. Guessing can frequently be problematic and lead to frustration. So let's take a look at what good troubleshooting involves. First is collecting information. This information might be the nature of the problem that you're trying to approach. and the type of installation in which it's used. Once you've collected some information, a good troubleshooter will create a hypothesis. Hey, the display won't turn on. Okay, I think that it might not turn on if the power switch is turned off. That's a hypothesis. Once you've generated a hypothesis, you ask yourself, do I have enough information to test that hypothesis? If I'm thinking, oh, I've got a trouble symptom I've seen before, and usually it's because of the version number. Do I know the version number of the display's firmware or the software I'm using? If not, you go back to the beginning, collect more information. But if you do have enough information, then you test that hypothesis. Here's what I think it might be. Let's put that to the test now that I've got all the information I need. Did it work? If the hypothesis proves to be incorrect, that is, what you thought may have been a contributing factor turned out not to be, it's best to undo any changes that you've made. One of the things that is commonly used in troubleshooting is to temporarily replace cabling. We do know that in the case of video display issues, lower quality or underrated HDMI cables can cause that. So sometimes our support agents will suggest replacing the cable with a certified and shorter length cable, just to see if the cable is in fact causing the problem. And if it's not, great, undo those changes, go back to your original. And we start back at the beginning. We collect more information, create a new hypothesis, and test it. Once the hypothesis proves to be correct, then we implement the solution, fix the problem, verify that the problem is solved, and just as importantly, verify that no new problem has been introduced. If the solution for one problem introduces a new problem, then you just got to start over again, collect information on the new problem to troubleshoot it, or take a different approach to addressing the original problem. Verifying the problem is solved is not the final step, though. Notifying users and documenting the solution is just as important. As techs, if we're not letting our users know that the problem is solved, then they might just continue to suffer with it without realizing that, hey, we've solved it. The way that SMART does this commonly is through software updates and the release notes documents which accompany software updates. Now, the first three steps here: collect information, create a hypothesis, and test that hypothesis, is the iterative part of troubleshooting. It is the part that can take the most time because there's generally a lot of repeat. You create a hypothesis and you put it to the test. And if it doesn't pan out, you're collecting new information and generating a new hypothesis. Because good information is the first step in that entirely iterative process, it is the cornerstone of good troubleshooting. Good information is the cornerstone of good troubleshooting. Inaccurate information, incomplete information, misleading information, all of those will impair troubleshooting because they will result in generating incorrect hypotheses that prove to not correct the problem. So we're going to build upon that throughout the rest of this presentation. Good information is the cornerstone of good troubleshooting. So we're going to focus on how do you make sure that good information is both available and maintained throughout the troubleshooting process. So here's some examples of good information collection. First of all, what is the troubleshooting? This is the most important part of good information collection. Having a clear description and understanding of what it is you're troubleshooting is critical. Today's modern smartboard interactive displays and smart software are multifunction devices. They do a lot more than just one thing. They do multiple things. So it's very important to know what specific function of the product is impacted. Also, what action causes what specific result, and how does that compare to what was expected? It's not generally good enough to know what action causes results without understanding how that compares to what the user actually expected. Sometimes what we think is a trouble symptom, what we think is a problem, might actually be the way the product was designed to behave. And so understanding how the action compares to what was expected is important. And that's the third bullet there is, is that how it's supposed to behave? If I look at the product documentation, is it indicating that that's how it's supposed to behave? Is it simply a matter of a different expectation from the user? Now, the second piece of good information is reproducibility. That is, can the trouble symptom be easily reproduced on demand? And if so, what are the specific steps to reproduce this behavior? If you can reliably and repeatedly reproduce a behavior, it becomes far more easy and less time consuming to test hypotheses and confirm conclusions. Number 3 is what specific equipment is involved. It's very important when you're collecting information at the start of troubleshooting to make sure that you know the exact makes, model numbers, and serial numbers of all connected equipment. For example, if you're having a symptom on a smartboard interactive display related to showing the image from a connected computer, knowing what smartboard display you have is only part of the equation. Knowing the make and model of the connected computer is equally as important. In addition, wiring diagrams showing how each piece of equipment is connected. Wiring diagrams should include the make, model, and length of every cable and what it's connected to, what specific port it's connected to on each piece of connected equipment. And the names and version numbers of specific software in use. If it is a smartboard interactive display, they have built-in IQ system software, or for older models of smartboard interactive displays, they will have built-in firmware without IQ. But on the connected computer, you also have smart product drivers, smart ink, and smart notebook software. It's important to know the names and version numbers, especially if you're asking for help from Smart's technical support teams, because they'll be able to quickly identify if a newer version is available and what, from the release notes, what the newer version addresses. Number 4 is the time and frequency. When does the unexpected behavior occur? Does it happen once and it only happened once? Or is it something that's repeatable? Does it only happen at certain times of day? Perhaps, when the sun is shining in the window directly on your optical touch system that can be affected by sunlight. Or does it only happen after doing a specific activity? For example, if you've opened, 10 or 15 tabs in a web browser and then suddenly strange behavior starts occurring, that's important information, important clues to know to help generate appropriate hypotheses. And finally, the scope of impact. How many people are impacted? Is it just one person or is it multiple people? Exactly how many? Is it isolated to a single system? Or are multiple systems in a single building or multiple systems in multiple building locations affected? And is this a minor inconvenience for which a workaround is available? For example, when this problem happens, I just exit the software and reload the software and the problem goes away until the next time? Or is it completely preventing the use of the system? And all of those pieces of information are important to determine how big of an impact is the problem. Now, that's a summary of what is troubleshooting, good troubleshooting, and poor troubleshooting. Let's take a look at some useful resources that are available to you during troubleshooting. The first resource is the Smart Support website. This is support.smarttech.com or smarttech.com/support. Either one will get you there. And this is what it looks like today. We've recently had a look and feel update on the website. The content's still all there, but Smart has changed the appearance of the website and cleaned it up a little. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through the different areas of the Smart Support website. Up here in the black area at the top is the top menu. This is how you navigate the Smart website. You can go to the main Smart website, which is has marketing information about our different products and what's available currently. These are solutions and products and services that are available. Right now, we're looking at support. And it doesn't matter which part of the website you're on, you can just click the support button to get here. There are also options to register for product demos if you're looking at buying a new product, where to buy it if you're looking at buying a new product, and you can sign in with your Smart account to the website if you need to. This gray item at the bottom shows us that we are currently on the support portion of the Smart website, and it's got some links to various items, including downloads and drivers, getting started guides, the knowledge base. The knowledge base is an important resource because it contains symptom-specific knowledge articles. If you have a specific trouble symptom that we already know about, there should be a knowledge base document identifying how to address that specific trouble symptom. There's also user discussions. This will actually be going away in a little while because it's been underutilized. And an area to contact support. Then right here, we have a search box. This is a great thing if you want to find information quickly without navigating, because you can search by keywords. For example, if you wanted to find a specifications document for the GX series of interactive displays, you could type in the letters GX and then the word spec, hit search, and it will appear in the search results. And then at the bottom, we have quick links. These are things that are highlighted content. These will change. They will be dynamic. They will change, but they'll be quick links to things that are currently being highlighted. As we scroll down the Smart Support website, you end up with product support pages. These are links that take you to pages specific to those types of products. We have software products, as you can see, we've got quite a few, and we have hardware products. And each of these product pages, we're going to take a closer look at later, but they contain a lot of important information, including user documentation, links to downloads, software release notes, which tells you, what was fixed and what's new, teacher guides on how to use the product, installation documentation, which is, proper ways to install it and connect cables and so forth in the case of hardware. Maintenance documentation. In the case of hardware, this is cleaning instructions, how best to maintain it so that it operates at peak efficiency for its longest lifespan. Service parts diagrams, in case you need to replace any parts, you can know what part number to order. Troubleshooting information, which we are going to take a look at a little bit later in this presentation. And this includes troubleshooting by function. I'll go into more detail later. We also have links to training resources, including videos as well as documents, and links to knowledge base documents. I talked about the knowledge articles previously. They are very important when you want to search for a specific trouble symptom. And there's a lot more. Every product support web page has content that is context sensitive, that is content specific to that product. If we scroll down a little further, we'll see this item in the middle, which is a resource that can help you identify your product. Because Smart has the support web pages organized by product, it's very important to know which specific product you have. And this resource can help you do that. And then as we scroll down a little bit more, we get even more product pages for additional hardware and online services. Our document camera accessories, our computing module accessories, stands, etc., and our online services such as managing your Smart account, the Smart remote management, documentation and login, Smart admin portal, and the Smart Exchange. Smart Exchange is good because it has resources that support agents can, users can use to quickly build lessons. It's pre-existing content. But for troubleshooting, the individual product pages are going to be your important resource. Now let's scroll down a little bit more. Below all of this is a gray area. This gray area exists on all product support web pages, no matter where you are on the website, and it contains related links that will take you to related content. Here we are on the Smart Support homepage, and we've got related content like how to check your warranty, how to order service parts, etc. And on the main homepage, on the main support homepage, there's also a list of what's new. When our documentation team posts new documents, for example, they will post information that those documents are now available. And if we scroll down even further, you will see a quick link to get help from Smart Support directly, a button with which you can change the language you're reading the web page in if you're not in North America and you don't want to read it in English. I believe our website is in 4 different languages at the moment, and below that are additional links. These additional links in the dark gray at the bottom exist on all support web pages, and they include information including, how to buy stuff, where to try it, and support links, product support, downloads and drivers, KB articles, and how to contact us. You'll notice that the downloads and drivers, links to KB articles, and a link to contact support has appeared multiple times in different places on the web page. We want to make sure that you can get the help you need, so we've put links to it in as many places as possible. All right, so here is one of the Smart Support web pages. When I clicked on Smartboard Displays, it took me to another subpage listing all of the different product groups under Smartboard Displays. Now, as you can see here, we have many different series that we currently sell, current Smartboard displays, and we have previous models that are no longer sold. And as I mentioned before, each of these contain a lot of product-specific information. Now, let's take a closer look and see how one of these is organized. Here's a closer look at the MX and MX Pro support pages. The first thing that I want to point out here is right at the top in blue, it's a highlighted bar at the top, is a link directly to helping you identify your product. So if you look on this page and you're not sure if this page applies to your product, there's a link right at the top to check that. Next, in the blue section at the top, at the purple section, right at the top of the purple section is a navigation trail. This shows you how you've got here. You got here by clicking on support, then hardware, then Smartboard displays, and now you're on the Smartboard MX and MX Pro page. If you want to go back to one of the previous pages, you can just click the links in this navigation trail. Next, we have the name of the product family for which this information applies. Now I say product family because if you look down a little bit here, you'll notice that there are references to MXV3, there are references to MXV2, and there are references to the entire series. So there are multiple product models covered under this family, which is the SmartBoard MX and MX Pro family. And because they're all interrelated, they share the same information, except where specifically called out for differences. Number 4, we have categories of subpages. Yes, even though this looks like just a list, it is additional pages related to this product. When you get here, you're on the home page. There's a little home button right here. You can take you right back to this page. But we also have separate pages for teachers' guides, downloads, documentation, training and videos, and the knowledge base that I spoke about previously. There's also an image representing the product family. If you look at that picture and your product looks nothing like that, you're on the wrong page. And there's a additional button for specifically helping you identify the specific model of this product. The blue bar at the top showed how to make sure you're in the right product family. This link goes even more specifically than that to help you identify the specific model within the family. And we have a bunch of categories with specific categorized product information. Some of it is expandable. Some of it will take you to different pages. We're going to take a closer look at that a little bit later, but I want to scroll down a little bit more and show you that there's lots of product information in categories, including troubleshooting your display and getting support. Again, we have a gray area below it with links to related contents. And you'll notice that the related content on this page is different than the related content on the home page. Here we have related links that are to specific product documents, brochures for the MX Pro. If you're an installer and you're looking for a CAD diagram of the product to put in a engineering diagram, you can put that on your, you can request a CAD drawing to use for that purpose. And you can also find resellers near you. If you are a technician at a school, your reseller that's near you is going to be your first line of support. And we'll discuss that a little bit later. They can also be helpful in purchasing replacement parts or whatever you need there. And there are links to related products. We're on the MX Pro support page. This is a display. The display can work by itself, but it's frequently used in a system with other products, including Smart Notebook, Smart Lumio, Smart Meeting Pro for those that are purchased for enterprise or business needs instead of school or education needs. Same with TeamWorks, Smart Product Drivers Inc., etc. And finally, on all of our support pages, there is a feedback button. This feedback button generally floats in the bottom right corner of the page. And so as you scroll up and scroll down, this should always appear in the bottom right corner. And it allows you to reach out to Smart directly, Smart's documentation group specifically, and provide feedback on the content that you are currently looking at. In this case, the MX and MX Pro support pages. If you feel that finding specific types of information is challenging or difficult, provide us that feedback. If you feel that we're missing information that you need to troubleshoot and do your job effectively, provide us that feedback. The reason that the support website has gone through the changes and looks the way it does today is because of feedback from customers and users and channel partners and people just like you. We do listen, we do make changes. So let's take a closer look at the support pages. I'll just pull that up here. So this is, as I mentioned, the main support page. We already had a close look at that. If you click on Smartboard displays, it takes you, as I showed you, to this. And if you click on the MX Pro, it's going to take you to the MX Pro page that we just had a look at. What I want to do is I want to jump through a few different things here. I'm going to go to the downloads page, and I'm going to show you that we have downloads for the IQ system firmware for MX V2, V2C, and V3. And we have firmware for the older MX as well, which does not have IQ embedded. There's also a link to related downloads for smart product drivers, notebook, etc., just like there is down here. And just like you have downloads and drivers up at the top, we have that for this specific product in its downloads page. On the documents page, we have a number of different documents available, and this will vary by product. For this product, we have quick reference guides, which are great for users, installation guides and user guides. This installation guide is also a maintenance guide, and illustrated installation instructions. I want to point out that the illustrated instructions are basically like instructions for assembling IKEA furniture. They are pictures with no text, no words on them, or as few words as possible, so that they are language agnostic. It doesn't matter what language you speak or read, you'll be looking at the same installation guide. While the guide up here does contain words, texts, explanations, guidelines, and it's just as important to reference that as the illustrated instructions that come in the box. We have service parts diagrams, so if you need to replace a part, by model, as you can see, there's lots of different models. We have release notes for the different pieces of hardware and firmware. And we have some comparisons. These are generally used by sales personnel to compare the different models, but they are available here under the documents. We have specification guides, and I want to call out specific specification guides. I will point out that the visual layout of how our specifications look has changed over the years. Older products will have a little bit of a different appearance, but they do all share one thing in common. Everything is organized in categories. If you want to know about the display, there is a category for that. If you want to know about the integrated interactive experience, there's a category for that as well. The different software that's available. But I want to point out the inputs, outputs, included cables, what cables we ship with it, which OPS computers the OPS accessory slot supports, etc. Warranty conditions, storage requirements, what temperature and humidity ranges the product can be used or stored in, what model numbers are available that apply to this specific specifications. And just as importantly is cable requirements. Every product Smart makes has a list of cable requirements. If you're using incorrect cabling, you can have poor signal quality, disconnections, and otherwise unexpected behavior. One of the most common troubleshooting troubleshooting theories is, hey, if you're having a problem with the connection to the USB touch system or the connection to the HDMI video display, maybe the cable is too long, or maybe it's not within the right specifications. Over the years, USB devices, as an example, have changed from USB 1.1 to USB 2.0 to USB 3.0, and they all have different speed ratings for the data transfer, and as a result of that, shorter cable lengths. As you can see, if you're only using USB 2.0 data speeds, you can have a 5-meter long cable. If you're using USB 3.0 data speeds, you can only have a 3-meter long cable. And this isn't specified by Smart. This is specified by the USB Implementers Forum for any USB product that uses those specifications. And USB Type-C, which is even faster, has an even shorter cable length limit. When it comes to HDMI, HDMI has also made changes over the years. Back when you had high definition 720p images or full high definition 1080p or 1920 by 1080 images, A high-speed HDMI cable was good enough. But with today's 4K displays that have ultra high definition or 4K or 3840 by 2160 image resolutions, a certified premium high-speed HDMI cable is needed. They visually look the same, but the capabilities of the cable, the amount of data bandwidth that it can reliably handle, that's the key word, reliably, is different with the different cable specs. So we do post cable requirements for each product within each product specifications document. And as you can see, we've got lots of different products within the MX family, and each of their specifications are listed. We also have additional documents, such as a pre-installation checklist, pen comparisons, so you don't get your smartboard pens mixed up between products, etc. Now let's take a look at training and videos. Under training and videos, we have professional development, which is courses on how to use the product, how to build presentations that are great for teachers and things like that. But we also have technical support training. So for those of you who are technicians that are supporting these products, we do have courses to go through that point out a lot of the important information details that you need to know, because information is the cornerstone of good troubleshooting. We've got a bunch of how-to videos that teachers can use for how to use the product, and many more. We have, videos on smart remote management. We've got some training courses for installers that are installing the product on how to install it successfully. And I talked about the tech support training. We have a different course for the original MX, which was from 2018, and the MX V2, and soon there will be an MX V3 training course as well. MX V3 is a variation of MX. It's in the same family, so there's a lot of similarities with MX V2. And finally, across the top here is the knowledge base. The knowledge base takes you to community.smarttech.com. This will be changing in the future. We do have plans to pull this right back to the main smarttech.com webpage. But what happens currently is you can click on the articles tab and you can see articles that are symptom specific. For example, if the freeze button is not working on MX, here's an article that talks about how to address that. At the top, you can search for specific keywords. So for example, if you have a symptom that you want to look for, you can type in keywords related to that symptom and check to see if Smart has published any knowledge articles specifically addressing that. If we have, great, then you've got a list of steps to follow to address it. If we haven't, it might not be something that we're aware of, or it might not be a problem that others are experiencing, and therefore you would need to go through troubleshooting, generating hypotheses and putting them to the test, which is an iterative process. But sometimes you don't need to go into that level of work. Sometimes we've already done the work for you and you can find it in the knowledge base. But the knowledge base is not a magic bullet. If I go back to the homepage of the SmartBoard MX Pro, for example, we have lots of categorized information, including how to install it, how to configure it, how to connect computers, etc. Part of the installing and configuring includes configuring a network. And this is important for IT administrators to set up the network so that it allows all of the functions of the board to work properly, especially those functions that require internet access. And as we scroll down, there's maintenance, proper cleaning and maintaining of the product so that it works properly, how to update the different system software and firmware. But I want to point your attention to troubleshooting your display. Every Smart product has a troubleshooting section, and it will vary. When you look at the support pages for each product, it's going to vary a little bit by product, obviously. Let's take a look at the MX Pro. It's categorized by function. So the first function is power related, the display not turning on, or image related, the screen is blank, or audio related, there's no sound, or touch system related, there's no touch or touch isn't working as expected, or pen related. I want to point out that on today's touch systems, it's an important distinction between touch not working and pens not working. When you touch the screen, you should see something happen. It could be as simple as the mouse pointer on your computer moving, or it could be as simple as a little animated circle showing up which is the Windows 10 touch icon, touch cursor. That tells you touch is working. Whether it's working as expected, maybe it shows up in the wrong location or something, that's touch related. Pens are a different thing. If you pick up a pen and you try to draw on the screen and it doesn't draw, that's pen related. But if it does move your mouse pointer, or you do have something happen, then the touch system is working. It's just troubleshooting the pens and erasers. As we mentioned, today's modern interactive displays have a lot of different functions. One of those functions is the IQ embedded software system, which has different applications like whiteboard, web browser, screen sharing, etc. And there's a link to that product's troubleshooting. We've separated IQ system troubleshooting from the hardware troubleshooting, so it's got its own page. The reason is because the IQ system is used on multiple different models. And connected computers, software on connected computers is a completely different function. The OPS module is a different function, etc. So let's take a look at one example. Touch isn't working as expected. The way that we've structured our troubleshooting guidance on our product documentation is by symptom. So first, the category is which function, and second is a symptom. Now, we already covered earlier in this presentation that troubleshooting is not following a list of steps. It is a way of thinking. To empower that, for each symptom, we list common things that can affect that symptom. Think of that like an Ishikawa fishbone diagram. These are the branches that can feed that diagram for the display not responding to touch. They're not the only things that can affect it, but these are the most common and most important things to check. They're not in chronological order. Usually, sometimes they are, but these are different things that you want to check, and make sure you check them all because they will provide guidance about different things that can impact or can result in this trouble symptom. And as you can see, it's banded colors. We've got a white color here, a gray color here by trouble symptom. Here we've got two trouble symptoms, for example. The display responds intermittently to touch, or when you touch, the pointer does not appear at the correct place. For example, we have information about smart product drivers and smart ink, making sure you're using the right version and orienting touch. Most of today's modern smartboard interactive displays do not require you to orient the touch system. It's generally done automatically because the touch system and the display system are physically co-located together. But if your connected computer doesn't display things fully on the screen, that is, you have some black bars down the left or right, for example, shown in a letterbox configuration, then your touch might not be in the right location, and using the orient function of the smart product driver software can help address that. So that's how you use the troubleshooting that we document. It's a list of things that we know that can contribute to the listed trouble symptom for the listed function. As a result, it's very important to know which function of the product you are troubleshooting. And we generally try to make it very easy by wording it in simple terms. So that concludes the amount of time I have allocated for showing you the support website information and the navigation of that. So let's jump back to our main presentation here. Oh yes, YouTube. Smart also has a lot of videos on YouTube, specifically the Smart Support channel. But Smart also has additional channels, the Smart Technologies channel and the Lumio by Smart channel. If we jump back over to our website here, this is the Smart Support channel on YouTube. We have a section of getting to know your smartboard with IQ apps. We've got lots of videos in there. What I want to draw your attention to, though, is the playlists tab. We have different playlists for different products, such as the .cam and so forth. The Tech2Tech webinars are what I want to draw your attention to, because we have this webinar we're delivering today will appear here. Previous webinars that we've shared also appear here, and these are Tech2Tech. They specifically talk to you as technicians supporting the product about things that can have an impact on your role. We've lots of other videos as well, as you can see, in lots of different playlists, but Tech2Tech is specifically for you as techs. So that concludes looking at the information available, the Smart Support website and the information available. Apologies, no, it does not. There is one more thing I wanted to show you on the Smart Support website. Just bear with me one moment here. Under Documents, under the Illustrated Installation Documents, I'd like to share with you a standard of how Smart does our illustrated installation documents. If the document applies to multiple product models, the first page will show you which page to jump to for your specific model. We have, warnings and so forth. But what I want to show you is the start of each installation guide. I'll zoom in on that a bit. Includes two boxes. The first box is an illustration of everything that comes with the product. The second box, things that are grayed out, or in this case, greened out, are things that an installer would need to provide. Things that are not included in the box, such as tools required for the installation. In this example, it's a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. And cables that are not included. If you need to include a network cable or a VGA cable, if you're using VGA, or an HDMI cable, if you're using HDMI for your video, those are not included in the box. And that's how these are illustrated. What's not included has a gray background. In addition, all of the steps have solid bars around them, except for optional steps. Optional steps will have a dotted background. And I'm not sure if I have an optional step in this diagram. No, it looks like I don't. But if you ever see a box with a dotted background, that is an optional step. And we also include installation height guides and measurement guides to help the installation along. Okay, so let's talk about getting effective and efficient assistance. When you need help from others, it's important to remember that good information is the cornerstone of good troubleshooting. So when requesting help, the sharing good information is important so that they're in the same troubleshooting place as you. If you remember from the first illustration, troubleshooting is an iterative process involving collecting information, generating a hypothesis, and testing that hypothesis. If you ask for help from someone else and they don't have all of the information about what hypotheses you've already done or what the situation currently is, they may ask you questions about things you've already done because they don't know. They don't know what you've already done. So sharing good information is critical. A clear description of the trouble symptom. Is it reproducible? And how do you reproduce it? The time and frequency, how often does it occur? What specific equipment is involved? And the scope of impact. These are the 5 points that we discussed earlier in this presentation. But if you're asking for help from others, there's more than that. There's a 6th one. What troubleshooting have you completed so far? What hypotheses did you already come up with, and did you already test? What specific steps did you follow when you tested each of those hypotheses? And what happened in each case? What was the specific result of testing each hypothesis? There's value in being specific and including relevant details. The value is you reduce the risk of being asked to try things that you've already tried. For that second bullet point, what specific tests did you follow to test? What specific steps did you follow to test each hypothesis is equally as important, because the person that you are asking for help might say, oh, wait a minute, you missed a step, you forgot about this. So sharing this information, this type of information, is very important. Now, to help with this, SMART has built a technical support checklist. This is basically a simple form document that lists commonly asked information, commonly asked questions. And let's take a look at it. All right, so I'm back on this my web browser here. When you click that link, it's in the knowledge articles. It's checklist for gathering required technical information. And we have it available in different languages, but the checklist itself is an attachment. And I'm going to click on this attachment to take a closer look at it here. And as you can see, if you've already contacted SMART support, what is your ticket number? That'll help, reduce the amount of questions you've asked because it's already documented. Other information that is commonly asked, like the product name, serial number, etc. And it's just a list. It's a tool for you as techs to be able to use to help collect appropriate information. It's 2 pages. It includes things like, does the error occur on more than one computer? Has the device been exchanged before? Things like that. These basically ask most of the 5 or 6 key questions that are, or key categories, key groups of information that are needed when troubleshooting. It's not a, it's not a step-by-step do this type of thing. It is a list that you can use to make sure you've got appropriate information. Now, contacting SMART support. First of all, any of our SMART's customers should be able to receive support directly from their SMART product reseller. SMART product resellers are typically physically located relatively close to the end users, and our reseller channel also frequently offer additional products or services that complement or enhance your SmartBoard experience. Some of our resellers offer on-site technicians to physically go to a customer's site and perform additional services. Usually that's a cost associated with that, and usually that cost is included in either a contract if there was a large product purchase, or sometimes our resellers might do that complimentary. But your reseller is closer to you, usually in the same state or even in the same city sometimes. In addition, Smart Technologies ourselves have teams of support personnel ready and available to assist you remotely. Most of our support personnel are located in North America. We've got a couple of different call center locations in North America. And we have some of our call center personnel are in other regions of the world, like Europe. You can use the Contact Us page on the Smart Support webpage to reach out. And let's take a look at that, because it's important that you know what your options are for getting support. All right, so I'm back on my web browser. If we go back to the Smart Support webpage, as you can see, I'm on the Smartboard Displays subpage. Right at the top here in the black bar, also right at the bottom, Contact Support. When we do this, you get a couple of different options. On the left, we have a list of phone numbers for different countries. Whatever country you're in, you can pick your phone number. I know that many of our callers today are from the United States. So as you can see, there's a toll-free phone number that you can call from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time to speak to a support agent and try and get some direct assistance that way. We also, just to the right of that, have a form that you can fill out, which initiates an email conversation. You know, what category of help do you need? What is your request? You know, here's where you would put in the trouble symptom and product you're trying to address. The serial number of the product, if you have it. Strongly recommended that you always include your product serial number, because this helps our support teams quickly and accurately identify which specific product model you are using and where it is in its support lifecycle, if it's still within warranty, for example. And there's a button at the bottom where you can attach files. There's an old adage, an old statement that a picture is worth 1,000 words. There is a great deal of truth to that. If you can visually show the trouble symptom in a still picture or a video, a short video clip, that goes a long way to sharing good information. In addition, there are some online resources such as the support web pages and knowledge base we just took a look at. Now I see we're approaching the end of the hour here. We're going to go over the importance of specific detailed information next, and then we'll have a Q&A period. I haven't really seen any questions come through yet, but we will answer questions afterwards. If you cannot stay past the initial hour, that's perfectly fine. We'll have this recorded. We've covered the bulk of the information I wanted to share with you today, so thank you for your time. But if you don't have to drop off, I will continue. So now we're going to take a look at the importance of specific and detailed information. Here's an example of the importance of details. Say we're troubleshooting something, say we're troubleshooting a smart document camera, and we say, oh, you know, it's not working, but the light is on. The statement, the light is on, is not good information. It's information, but it's not great. The reason is the products, smart products, typically have more than one light. So which specific light? An improved statement would be the power light is on. This is greatly improved over the first statement, but it also begs the question of, okay, we know that lights can be different colors and they can also blink for different statuses. So is the light solid or is it blinking? And what color is it? An even better statement would be the power light is on and it's solid blue. This is a fantastic statement because immediately, if you're talking to someone in Smart's technical support teams, they might say something like, blue is an unusual color. That specific product can't produce blue light. Are we sure that this is the power light? Where is it located? So an even better statement, a really good statement would be the power light on the power bar is on and solid blue. This is a fantastic statement because it clearly indicates that we haven't checked what the power light is on the specific product itself. This particular type of statement is both specific and sufficiently detailed to reduce the risk of misunderstanding. And that's the importance of details, is reducing the risk of misunderstanding. Let's take a look at another example. A poor information statement would be, it's version 18, or I'm running version 18. This might result in a question of, what is version 18? Is this a software that you're running, or is this a revision label on the back of a piece of hardware? An improved statement might be, the software is version 18. This is good, but what specific software? We know that today's smartboard interactive displays include an IQ embedded system, and they can also be used with other software like Smart Notebook, Smart Meeting Pro, Smart Product Drivers, Smart Ink, and more. So an improved statement would be, the Smart Notebook software is version 18. This is great, but it can be improved even more by identifying which specific subversion. So here's a really good statement. The Smart Notebook software is version 18.1.229.4.0. This is a really good statement because if you're reaching out to Smart Support, they will immediately know that this is an obsolete version, that it is more than 2 versions old. Smart supports our current versions and 2 previous versions only. And they'll be able to tell you that what the current version is and where to get it. And again, this information is both specific and sufficiently detailed to reduce the risk of misunderstanding. That concludes today's webinar. Are there any questions? Okay, I can see in the chat window that Ryan and others have been answering some questions about where the web pages are along the way. So thank you for that. I don't see any other unanswered questions. So I thank you all for your time. Have a fantastic weekend.